Hey everybody, it's John and welcome to my garage. Today we're going to be talking about the maintenance and cleaning of your Apex foam cannon. So a little bit of backstory on this guy. I got it 18 months ago, been using it heavily on the weekends, and it's been a great performer. We get a lot of friends come over and we do car washes and detailing out here outside the garage. This is a favorite, everybody. They like to use it. And it's a great tool. The only downside I have is I do not have RO or deionized water here in my garage. In this closet behind me, I've got a filtration system with a water softener, and that gets you part way there, but not really all the way there. And we still have some minerals to deal with in the water. The way you're supposed to maintain this thing is when you finish using it on your wash cycle is to actually disconnect the soap container from the bottom, put that in another bucket if you have soap left over. You can use that on another wash, and then fill it up with water and run water through to clean everything out, and then disconnect the jar and let it air dry on the counter, and then put it away after everything's dry. Truthfully, what happens is everybody comes over, we start washing cars. At the end of the day, we're dog tired, and whoever's on cleanup crew with me that's picking up all the dirty towels and all the tools and so forth, this usually gets grabbed and thrown into the wash bucket, and a lot of times it has at least half the soap in it, solution, and it sits for the week. And you do that enough times and the minerals and stuff start to build up in this valve and cause trouble. So that being said, we're going to break into this thing and I'm going to show you how to do the actual cleaning. So what do you need? Well, you need 3 wrenches, 14 millimeter, a 17 millimeter, a 5/8, a stainless steel wire brush preferably, some sort of real small skinny device like a wire or a real small screwdriver like this little watch screwdriver I have here, and then a standard one if I need to take the proportioning valve out. And then when I go back to put it back together, I use a little bit of Teflon sealant to help protect the threads when I put them back together so they don't gall or seize. So let's get started. The first thing is pull off your soap container, then pull off the adapter for the jar here. Disconnect your dip tube. The actual dip tube's in pretty good shape there. Then we're going to take off the siphon side of the dip tube here where it goes into the actual foam cannon. So that's the 14 millimeter wrench. So you get that on here very carefully and then pull that loose. So this is where the orifice is for the soap intake, and you can see there's some crud in there. And even on the orifice is blocked. Look at that. So first thing I'm going to do now is take the wire brush and we're going to brush this stuff and then poke it in the orifice there to break it free. Depending on how hard the minerals are and the debris that's in there, you might have to use something like CLR if you want to get clean, but this is actually doing pretty good. So I've got that clean now. You can see how clean that is. Now I'm just going to run this inside here and just to make sure there's no debris in there. That looks pretty good. Now the actual pocket here still got a little bit of crud in there by that O-ring. So I'm just going to take my brush and very carefully do this and not damage the O-ring. I'm just going to knock loose the debris. And now I've got that clean. See that right there? So the intake side is good. Now I'm going to take the 17 millimeter and I'm going to break free the intake here, the proportioning valve on the intake side. And there's a little bit of crud in there, you can see. Just a little bit. So I'm going to open up the valve to retract that diffuser there a little bit. And then I'm going to take the wire brush and just do this. And now that's clean right there. So that's ready to go. Then I'm going to inspect these ports, the air intake ports right there, and they all look really clean. I can see light through them. So those are good. So that's good to go. Now I'm going to use the 5/8 wrench and take off the inlet side here and just look inside that and make sure it's okay. That one's good right there, so no problem. Now I'm going to take the diffuser off, and it's held in by this one set screw. This one set screw just runs inside this ridge. So the set screw runs inside here. Now I'm looking right now at these holes here to make sure that they're clean, and they seem to be doing pretty good. So now I'm going to reassemble the diffuser portion. So the set screw is going to ride here, and then the O-ring actually goes right inside this fitting here. So you stick it on like this and push it till the O-ring seats. And make sure that your diffuser lines up, the two tabs line up with those notches in the red diffuser. And then we're going to put the set screw back in. And you just want to set the set screws till it's flush. You don't want to bear down because you're actually going to bind it on that shaft and it'll be hard to turn. So I'm just going to turn it down till I just get a little resistance, but yet the orifice and stuff still turn. See that? So we're good there. Now we're going to reassemble everything. So I'm going to take a little bit of this Teflon, just a little bit, and I'm going to put just a small little bit on the edge of those threads right there. And I don't want to get any inside the mechanics of the foam cannon. I want it just on the threads. If you're using this product, you don't want to get it inside the actual proportioning valve. And then I'm going to very carefully, it goes in the one without the O-ring. So I'm going to very carefully put this back in and try not to get the Teflon all over me. So that's one. And the second one I'm going to put right here. Just a little bit, we don't need much. And then this next one's going to go in here. This one here goes where the O-ring is. And then this one here. Right there. The water input goes right in there. Little paper towels. Keep this stuff from getting on everything like it tends to. Now I'm just going to snug everything up. And you don't want to over torque it. There's the intake. Here's a proportioning valve. Okay. And then our intake here. This is the one that's the funky 5/8. You can't, everything's metric except for this guy, So, and it's got a O-ring on there, compression O-ring, so it doesn't need to be that tight. Okay. So now we got that thing back together. I'm going to just clean up any leftover sealant. And we're good to go. I'm just going to check the travel of our proportioning valve, make sure it's okay. And that looks good. Then I'm going to come in and dip tube on. Jar top adapter is on. And then we're ready to go. So I'm just going to check right now and make sure that the diffuser works. We're good. And at this point, we're ready to go with another wash. Add soap and go. So hopefully this will help you. So if your foam cannon, whichever make you might have, is having reduced performance, most likely it's just some buildup of soap and or hard water minerals in your intake tube and in the proportioning valve. So if you have any questions, drop me a message below. See you next time.